We are live from the same green room as every single time. Welcome to another episode of the You're Still Here podcast. Thank you guys so much for coming back at 5:55 p.m. I never understood why in movies, why was that always used? Like, I know that fictional numbers, you don't want to be giving out real numbers. It's like that Twitter doxing policy. All of a sudden, in Last Action Hero, in the movie, when Arnold Schwarzenegger wants the girl's number behind the desk at Blockbuster, and she comes with a 555, can't you do something a little more realistic? You know, all the shows and movies, they go, 555, 215. That pulls you out of the movie a little bit. It kind of pulls you out of the movie a little bit. It's like, wait a minute, nobody's number starts with 555. Oh, yes, that's right. I'm watching a movie. Oh, yes, that's right. None of this is real. The whole goal of a movie is for you to kind of immerse yourself into the experience where you believe it's real, kind of like The Prestige. But the minute all of a sudden now they're coming out with the 555s, you remember you're in a movie. I've been noticing this a lot recently. By the way, I hadn't planned on talking about any of this, but now you know how my rotten mind works. When you watch TV shows, this is something I wanted to mention to you guys. Call Jimmy Vegas. Something I wanted to mention to you guys for a little while now. When you're watching film and television, like I just said, the goal is to immerse yourself into it. When you watch a movie, there's nothing that bothers me more than when you find a hole in a plot and you're like, wait, well, what that? Why would they do something like that? And somebody goes, like for example, Squid Game. It's all about the fairness, right? Squid Game presents these people a truly fair opportunity that life didn't give to them. Then you have that one guy on the plank with the glass who figured out a way. He used his intellect to figure out which one, which panel of glass was real opposed to the ones you'd fall through. And they changed the rules of the game because they didn't like that this guy outsmarted them. Now, the whole point of this place is that it's a true, honest way, and you are never going to be screwed by outside forces. So then I said that. I'm like, wait a minute. The whole thing was that the outside world screws them and rigs things in favor of others. Now they're doing it in here, so then what's the point? Someone's like, well, it's a TV show. Well, then why am I watching? Why am I here? Why is this on? And more so I say all that just to bring the cell phone conundrum, I call it. And that is increasingly in life, obviously, go anywhere, go on a plane, go on the street, go walk your dog. Everyone's got headphones, everyone's glued to their phone. However, we have not traversed that issue when it comes to consuming television or whatever. You know, when there are conversations going on in real life, this is how it goes down. Like, yeah. However, that does not make for proper film and television when you're writing up a scene between two people. So now, I remember there was that show, I don't know if it's still popular, the show You, remember that? It was like a rebranded show that failed on like Hallmark or something like that. So then they threw it on Netflix and all of a sudden it got a second wind and got really popular. Well, a lot of it had to do with texting and, stuff that they were sending each other. So you're watching this show, you kind of believe, you're trying to get into the storyline. Then when somebody receives a text, this weird digital thing comes up and you're reading their conversation on like this superimposed screen that fully takes you out of this being a TV show. And I still have not seen shows address this properly. Me personally, I think if you're going to do any sort of tech stuff that's necessary in a movie or TV show, you just got to do the shaky over the shoulder shot, where you can kind of read their screen. It looks like you're just peeking over their shoulder. That's the proper way to do that. How we got into this, I do not know. This episode was supposed to be about Las Vegas and all things considered Las Vegas from all the scams. It's Sin City, but more so Scam City. And all the little tips and tricks, because I promise you go to Las Vegas without anything, just saying, I'm going to Vegas for the first time. You're the equivalent of somebody showing up in Rome with a big, thick cell phone halfway leaning out your back pocket. There are things you need to know. However, while I was going to primarily only talk about Las Vegas, just last night I was thinking, You know what? I think I was thinking about in 20 years, what are we going to think of a specific type of like, what are we going to think of Instagram models in 20 years? And I honestly think that this whole Instagram model trend, one that I've referenced many times, one where you're leaning out of an infinity pool in Dubai while captioning it with a quote about like hard work from Plato, I think it finally might be coming to an end. I think the infinity pool lean while quoting Plato in the caption finally might be coming to an end, and I know that I've said that before. I'm well aware that I've said that before. I said it when I found out Instagram started hiding likes to like incentivize the promotion of enjoyable content. I was like, ass might be on the way out. Then you could also make the argument that this new limit sensitive feature, and by the way, if you don't know what that is, there is an option that it defaults to on Instagram right now, the limit sensitive content feature. It automatically puts it on your phone. Like if your Instagram app updated automatically, there's a limit sensitive content feature that automatically is applied. So if you don't happen to see a lot of my stuff and other people such as me, you need to go into your settings and remove that feature. But anyway, I thought that feature also had the ability to stifle the Instagram model ass, in the ass infinity pool wave, because it would, limit the reach of certain PG-18 accounts. But now more than anything, it's become clear as day that Instagram is straight up mimicking TikTok over there in every way, shape, or form. Like just last night, I saw they added yet another TikTok feature, the one that allows you to create a video responding to somebody's comment. So if one of you people are just an absolute asshole, a full asshole, and you decide to write one of your asshole comments on any one of my posts, you can now take that comment and respond with a video as the comment hovers. So if you say something ludicrous, now I can make a whole video addressing that ludicrous comment for everybody to see. And while I don't think a ton of people utilize this feature, you can bet your ass I will be. One of you comment, Andy, you're beyond trash for saying that you wouldn't date a 32-year-old because her manufacturer warranty is expired. People don't have warranty, they're human beings. Now, I used to have to ignore something like this, or type out a response where I'm like, you don't understand, sir. It's a comedy page. You say things that make people laugh. But unfortunately, the subtleties of Andy dialogue, they get lost in digital translation. Like if I type in the words, oh yeah, I want to go, sure. Like, oh yeah, I want to go, period, sure. They don't read like the true Andy version of, oh yeah, I want to go, sure. No, what you're seeing is, oh yeah, I want to go, sure. Like I'll pick you up in 10. But that's not the way it is. But like I said, I will be utilizing this new feature. I will be responding to people's comments if they are meriting of an Andy response. You got something to type? Well, I got something to say. All right, you want to be that keyboard warrior? I'll be a real warrior. I'll be the ultimate warrior. And let's see who can think quicker. You and your little keyboard where, you have a group text going where you have to congregate with 13 others to craft one clever response in 45 minutes, or me, where I can just tap your comment and tear you to shreds. And I love how I'm talking to some theoretical villain right now who doesn't even exist. One of my favorite things to do. So anyway, like I was saying, well, first of all, by the way, as always, if you have any sort of questions, there is that question feature. TikTok, I won't look over there because I still don't care about any of you. But any of the people who kind of know me over here, you can leave a question in that little thing in the bottom, and I promise you, like last time, I will get to it. But like I was saying, it has become increasingly clear as day that Instagram is fully shifting away from pictures as a whole on the platform. You're not seeing the Instagram model infinity like ass shot as much as you used to, because everything's video. Everything's video. And yes, you may be thinking like, wait a minute, but I understand there are millions of TikToks out there that depict teenagers in bikinis showcasing their big, round, voluptuous, in their prime, milky personalities. But honestly, it's usually just some girl from like Arizona State in her mom's kitchen doing the latest shuffle. All right? Opposed to what we'd be seeing on Instagram for, I don't know, 10 years now, right? We're going on 10 years? Just a gaggle of escorts disguised as a non-existent profession called influencers, which is the ancient Andean term for hooker, traveling the world on the dime of some anonymous funder out there, and then educating us on how we could all be living more fruitful lives if we just heeded the words of wisdom depicted in their captions, which just so happened to be pulled from Google a grand total of 40 seconds before they upload these pictures. Yep. So I was thinking that the shift from pictures to video might be the final knife into the back of the Instagram model surge. But that was until I opened Twitter today, and I see the following post in the trending tab. How about this? I'm going to read you guys a post or a caption from a post. I did this a while back. I did this 2 years ago on my first shot at live. It was rather ridiculous if anybody recalls that. But I'm going to read the caption of a post, and then you tell me the image that's playing in your head, okay? I'm going to read you the caption, okay? We're humans. We think in pictures, so to speak. So if you were to read this article and your job was to attach a picture to it, like you know, what you'd search on Getty Images, and that is a real job, by the way. That is a real job for people out there. They're assigned to find images to associate with articles. You can look this up. It's a real job. It's called a photo researcher. I've seen it on Indeed. Why? I don't know. But you work for companies, they write articles, and then you have to pull an image or multiple images that best suits the article. Like when you see something online in a little thumbnail, obviously the person didn't make that picture. They pull it from a library. So, like, for example, if there's an article about everyone being an absolute slob and gaining weight during the pandemic, such as myself, then the thumbnail would be like one of a guy holding like measuring tape around his gut or something. That's what a photo researcher would do. One of the many jobs I actually would refuse to do because, you know, you're way better off selling pineapples on a beach in Waikiki, if you ask me, other than researching these photos. Anyway, so if I were to say, OMFG, I passed the baby bar exam. I passed the bar exam. This is what it says in the caption. For anyone who doesn't know my law school journey, know this wasn't easy or handed to me. I failed this exam 3 times in 2 years, but I got back up each time and studied harder and tried again until I did it. In parentheses, I did have COVID on the 3rd try with 104 fever, but I'm not making excuses. Instead, in parentheses, I'm going to tell you the exact excuse that I won't be making. So that's what it is. That's the caption. What do you think the picture is? And here's a hint. This is a Kim Kardashian post from earlier today. You can go look it up on Twitter. Let me read that quickly one more time. I have it over here. So Kim Kardashian posted, OMFG, I passed the bar exam. For anyone who doesn't know my law school journey, no, this wasn't easy or handed to me, which you can kind of smell her insecurity for knowing that so many things have been handed to her, which is why she had to even make that sentence in the first place. I failed this exam 3 times in 2 years, but I got back up each time and studied harder and tried until I did it again. What picture is affiliated with that caption? Okay? You're going to have to go look it up unless I can grab something to show. Hold on. I didn't think of this ahead of time. I'm sorry. I have Instagram here, TikTok here, YouTube here. I'm out of devices, but I got a rusty old one. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. I know, trust me, I know there is nothing worse than waiting for somebody to like pull something. I'll give this 3 seconds. If I don't have it, then don't worry about it. I think I got it. Come on. Slowest. You know what? I'm not doing this. Imagine the classic Instagram model face. She's just looking at you, full duck face, and that is what signifies passing the bar exam. Kim Kardashian, dressed in a full head to toe like she's going to one of the Great Gatsby's parties, giving a duck face to the cat. That's what she affiliates with passing the bar exam. So when I say I really wonder how people are going to look back at the whole Instagram model thing, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, in the future, you look back 20 years and you see that, like, she passed a bar exam? What the hell is that picture? It looks like she's going to the ball. Anyway, this is what I was thinking when, like, this is what happens. Like, I promise you, I will still get to everything I was going to say about Vegas. I know the whole episode is supposed to be about Vegas. This is what happens with me. I have one plan, and then by the time I get to it, literally 12 hours later, that many other thoughts have already infiltrated the rankings of my rotten, corrupted brain. I've said this many times, but if you go inside my brain and take a walk around, it looks like the introduction from Tales to the Crypt. And if you don't know what that is, you're just basically touring a haunted house in like a 2x speed. So I'd mentioned Getty Images. And by the way, we're still not going to Vegas. But I want you to listen to this one because this should be entertaining. I'm going to tell you why. I'm learning how to take quiet sips, by the way, because I even hate my own sound of sipping something when listening to this back. Give me half of a second because I got to charge. I wouldn't do this, but at least I got this handy. Let me just throw a charger in here. One of these, I guess, did not charge properly. Come on. All right, we're good. So I mentioned Getty Images for the... almost forgot. I mentioned Getty Images for that photo researcher job. I just told you there's a job called photo researcher that you can look up. It's a job that was remote even before all this stuff. As a guy who does what I do, you need to find weird jobs that you can do kind of on your own time so that you can have as much free time as possible to do nonsense such as this. Some kid who follows me, I don't remember this, but a couple months back, he like insulted me and complimented me at the same time. He goes, Andy, man, just want to say, love what you're doing out there, but like honestly, man, how do you do it without a job? I mean, you only have a few thousand followers, so he loves what I does, and just wanted to give me a quick knife to the side to remind me that I haven't got where I wanted to go. And I told him, like, well, man, you got to work, kind of got to find a job that works around the schedule that will allow you the free time. He goes, oh man, that sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, it is, all of you. It is a lot of work. Anyway, about that photo researcher job. Right before the pandemic, I'd started writing some stand-up material on that specific topic. And then I kind of couldn't do it because everything shut down. I never really got a chance to perform it or expand upon it. I haven't even been doing as much stand-up because it was shut down for so long. There's still a mad rush for stage time, and I haven't done a ton of stand-up. I mean, I've wrote some stuff, but anyway, this was right before the pandemic started and then into the beginning, and then I just kind of stopped expanding upon it. But I never got a chance to perform, and I never got to share this concept. So how about I share this one with you right now? So I'm going to share this. Like, obviously it wasn't ready to put on stage, but let's see. We'll give it a go. So this is as everything was happening in the beginning. And I said, with everything in the last 2 years, I was going to open with, are there any racists in here? You know, this is a hot button topic still. And then obviously you would expect the crowd to not raise their hand. And then I would say, no, really? Well, that's surprising because according to Twitter, they're everywhere. You know, you spray a little water right there, boom, 50 new racists appear right out of nowhere. They spring up like gremlins. And then I was going to say, so, you know, it's not a good time to be a racist. Stocks are down. They're way down. But if you do happen to be a racist out there, don't cancel that or cancel that order, that last round of ammo, you just something like that. But there may be a light at the end of the tunnel for you. So here we go. So before the coronavirus lockdown started, before there was even a single case in New York where I live, I read an article, 100% true, you could still look up this article, that claiming that taxi cabs and Uber drivers were refusing to pick up Asian passengers due to fear of contracting the coronavirus, even though there wasn't even one single case confirmed in New York yet. And now you're probably going to say, well, that's racist. Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. But that's not what fascinated me about this article. What fascinated me about this article was the thumbnail that they had attached to it. The thumbnail that I had just referenced that the photo researcher would have attached to it. So the headline of this article stated, NYC cabbies avoiding Chinese neighborhoods over coronavirus fears. Go ahead, type that in right now. If you have another something off to this, you have a computer off to the side, you can put in quotes, NYC cabbies avoiding Chinese neighborhoods over coronavirus fears. This was an actual article. And the image you saw right next to that article, right beneath it, was of a Chinese guy leaning out into the street with his arm extended, trying to hail a cab to no avail, with like a defeated look on his face, as if he'd been standing there for hours. Do you know what that means? That means that as soon as this article was finished, they had a picture on standby, readily available, of a Chinese guy being denied taxi service? And now, I mean, if you're half normal, you have to be thinking what I did at the time, which was, where the hell did they get this picture from of a Chinese guy being denied taxi service in a New York City street? And the answer is they got that picture from the most racist website in the country. It's not 4chan, it's not 8chan, not 12chan, it's not tucked on some subreddit. That racist website, my friends, is called Getty Images. Getty Images. If you've never heard of Getty Images, it's basically a website with an endless catalog of stock images that are immediately available for purchase. So you write an article, like I told you about that weight loss, like everyone's gaining weight, and you need that picture of the guy with the measuring tape around his gut, you go to Getty Images. You know, back when I used to audition and go on castings, I did some of these stock shoots where they have you do these things like, you know, you've seen these all the time because you ever see the meme of the old guy with like the beard and that sad smile? Like that's a stock image photo shoot. If you just Google anything like angry man holding coffee cup and you see those generic pictures with the white backgrounds, that's what lives on Getty Images. So when you got to find an extremely specific picture out of millions for your articles, look, there's no pulling any punches, and there's only one way to do it, and that is channeling your inner racial stereotypes and enter big fat Chinese guy eating noodles. Is it bad to hear? I understand. But guess what comes up? Endless rows of overweight Asian men who maybe or maybe not are Chinese eating noodles. And how do I know they're Chinese? You ask. I don't, but that's what's up there. So why don't you go out there and ask Getty Images? They're the ones who labeled the pictures, not me. Don't cancel the messenger. So if you recently got fired because you dressed up like Karl Malone for Halloween in 2003, like a certain talk show host, don't worry about it. There's a new home for hate. There's a new home for you. It's called Getty Images. So there you go. That was a concept that I never got to expand upon, and I still haven't, but it was something that I wanted to do towards the beginning of the pandemic, and everything had shut down, and I just remembered it last night. So there you go. Take it as you will. If you enter during the middle of that, I can't sound like a great person. But if you leave a comment that's nasty, just know I'll be responding to it with the new respond to comment video feature. Oh yeah, be careful. So now that we're a good half an hour into the show, or well, let's see how long we've been in there. Yeah, we've essentially been here a half hour, and I haven't talked at all about the whole name of this show, which was Nothing Stays in Vegas, because this is about Las Vegas, Scam City, Sin City. If you're about to enter your prime Vegas years, I don't know how you want to define that, but you've graduated from school, you got a job, and now you're going to start hitting that Vegas circuit every once in a while. I will say this, Las Vegas was one of my older brother. It was one of his favorite places to go. He was a Vegas guy. He was a personal trainer. He was 6'4", jacked. Vegas was the place for him. We differed in some ways. Not in some, definitely in others. But if you go to Vegas, it was like I told you earlier, you can't go unprepared. It's like showing up in Rome with singles hanging out of your back pocket. One of those gypsies is going to get you. And I always said if I went to Rome, I would actually have 4 wallets, 3 decoy, and 1 real. That way, if somebody fishes one out the back, I'm going to open it, and literally like in Ocean's 11, you've just been had. This is how I live my life, okay? I'm a preemptive striker. So anyway, if you are entering the Vegas circuit, anybody who's about to going for the first time, or you foresee yourself going in the next couple of years. Well, first of all, when I lived in Los Angeles, I was at some scummy bar called The Parlor on Melrose Avenue. I have no clue if it's still open. It was actually relatively decent as far as bars in Los Angeles go, and it was half indoor, half outdoor, and sometimes they would actually have comedy shows, and a local comedian said this, and I can't credit him because it was just I have no clue who it was, and it was 10 years ago and haven't seen it anywhere since, so I'm going to give credit to the guy that I saw that night, but he said there are 2 versions of Las Vegas, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. The Vegas that girls go to, and the Vegas that guys go to. And then he even broke it down further, and I also agree with this point. There's the Vegas you're on your way to and going to, and then the one you're going home from. Because if you're asked about Las Vegas, the answers will be completely different depending on your sex and gender, whatever one you're supposed to say now, and whether you're on your way or you're on your way back. Because it's a city of illusions. That's why Chris Angel lives there. You know how many times there's a group of girls, they're like, oh yeah, we went, didn't have much money, but the Sultan of Kyrgyzstan, he took care of all of our stuff all week and everything was fine. We're over there limping, selling our kidney just to get into the Encore Beach Club. It's 2 different cities. And I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just saying there are 2 different cities. No different. There was the city of Boston that a New Yorker can go to school at, like me, a guy, versus some girl from New York going to school in Boston. The split screen of how we were treated was slightly different. Anyway, when you return from Vegas, you have distorted perceptions of your whole life. Like you think, because it's it shifts your opinion on things. Like you think, I don't need to be doing tax returns and living this life. Tax returns, that's not real life. Betting the Champions League at Legacy Stadium on a Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's real life. That's what a Wednesday afternoon's supposed to be. It's like there's a assimilation period where you have to re-ingratiate yourself with normal society. It's like going to Vegas. It's like a mini brainwashing session. It's like, when you watch the news, it's like, wait a minute, I thought these things and they made sense, but... all right, so here we go. Here are the things you need to know about Las Vegas. All right. By the way, in Los Angeles, there was this guy I met one time on set, and I still want to throw him off a cliff because he would tell me. He was one of those guys, didn't get where he wanted to go in Los Angeles, which is fine. But then to justify his own existence as a human being, he told other people, like, he kept giving them advice. Like he kept saying, but that's fine, actually. Advice is fine. He would actually tell me to write things down. Literally, like Van Wilder. He would say, you got to make sure you get with the type of photographer that the agents know, so you have that natural connection there. He'd wait a couple seconds, go, write that down. That mother... Oh my God, write that down. If anyone ever tells you to write something down, actually, if you have something, write down, you're an absolute piece of fill in the blank, and then show him that. So anyway, first of all, don't be enamored with cheap hotel prices. That's all part of the plan. You can go to the nicest hotel, $109 a night. They just want to get you there so they can sink their hooks in. They're like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter who has no striking, but they know once they got you on the ground, you're finished. You're getting submitted. So that's just a quick thing. Number one are the pool parties. Anybody who's gone to Vegas, they've obviously uploaded pictures of a pool party at some point. That's like almost a rite of passage when you go to Vegas. Everybody you see that goes there, they have those pool party pictures. Well, if you want to go to Wet Republic or Encore Beach Club or any of these, popular ones, at least that's from what I remember. I haven't been there in a couple of years. You can do what most people do, and you can show up like absolute idiots to wait online for 2 hours in the desert sun and pay $120 each. To never enjoy yourselves because at that point you're hung up on waiting in the sun for 2 hours, or you can simply go to the website of those aforementioned places ahead of time, which for some reason nobody ever does, and buy a single ticket for $40, which you can then print out on your Canon inkjet printer and proceed to walk right into the most popular place in Vegas. But those tickets are not available the week of. They have to be handled ahead of time, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, yet nobody ever does it. So if you're going to Vegas just for Vegas, I'm not talking about a bachelor party and you're going to do the whole table cabana thing, well, then unless you've had a good fiscal year, you better be getting yourself some of those tickets ahead of time. And if you're going for something like a bachelor party, like most people, then that's a whole nother ball game. And now it's time to introduce our scam of the week, Las Vegas edition, and that is the VIP host scam. The VIP host scam. And I need to take a sip because I'm starting to have parch voice. If you want to spend a little and get a cabana, and by a little I mean a lot, you want to know what comes with that cabana? A VIP host. A person designated to be your very own chaperone who's supposed to be helping you with all the things that you need. Anything you know, any questions you have, they're going to help you take care of it. You want to know what they really do? The VIP cabana host? They come over to you, some relatively decent-looking, uneducated scumbag. But they come over to you and ask if you want him to bring girls over to your cabana. That's what they do. And how many gargoyles do you know that have the discipline to decline generic Vegas girls being brought over to the table? Nobody, because the majority of guys in this world, on these apps, in this chat room, including me, but I'd like to say not fully, mindless orcs who are easily manipulated by a corrupted white wizard. Sorry if you don't get the reference. I do have my somewhat nerd tendencies, but not like when you see one of those hot girls who says like, oh, I'm kind of nerdy, as they're going to VIP exclusive parties every single week. I'm going to none of those. I just do happen to have that mini nerd side. But these girls that the VIP host is bringing over to your table in Vegas, they're brought over with the specific intention of milking those bottles. Not like a bottle rat, it's very different. A bottle rat is some girl out there wants to get to your table, drink. No, these are the girls, the Vegas locals, that they bring over under the guise of like, oh my God, we're having a party, now it's great, there are these girls here, and before you know it, like within a snap of a finger, because they make sure there's like 8 of them, because you get super excited, look at all of them. Yeah, pour 8 drinks for girls. Those 2 $800 bottles of Georgie or whatever the hell they're trying to claim is in those Grey Goose bottles is gone like that, and now you got to keep them flowing. This is part of the VIP host scam. Okay? Now, look, you can absolutely go into the battlefield and bring girls back to your cabana. Just make sure that you do it. Make sure that you do it. And it's, your standard girls, your standard appreciative girls from Vancouver, not the VIP host girls who are the local Vegas milkers. All right, so yes, the VIP host scam. That's one thing you have to be aware of. They're not bringing girls to your table. They're bringing milkers. Here's number 2. This is one that I want to remind you. I know I've talked about in some capacity. Certain places have nightclubs affiliated with the restaurant attached to that nightclub. Off the top of my head, from when I went there, I know Lavo, Tao. There has to be others. There has to be many others. I want to remind you about my reservation trick, or the reservation scam, where you make a dinner reservation at one of those places. Not only do you avoid the lines, but you avoid paying admission, which you now technically you can deduct from your dinner bill because you would have paid that to get into the spot, and now you don't have to. So you get dinner and you're in the spot and don't have to wait on a line. And once again, I just want to say, by the way, none of this applies if you're a girl. You don't have to do any of that. You just literally have to show up, and some chic will get you right into all these places. So, you can, I guess, check your texts while I'm going over some of these points. Number 3, don't overextend your stay in Vegas. You ever heard of the term, my eyes were bigger than my stomach? Well, the same applies here. The same applies with Vegas. Don't let your eyes be bigger than your liver. Okay, you get an overnight flight on Wednesday, which gets you there Thursday morning, and you leave on Sunday. Unless it's football season, then you can leave on Monday, because the Sundays are quite enjoyable during those months. And trust me, I have done this. I learned the hard way. I used to think, my eyes used to be bigger than my stomach for my first couple times in Vegas, but then I realized you always go one fewer day. And every single time you leave, everyone's looking at you jealous that you're on the way out, because they have nothing left. They have nothing left. So always remember that. One day fewer is better in Vegas. Number 4, if you're a guy, don't waste too much time trying to link up with someone from a bachelor or a bachelorette party that you met at. You may think like, well, I'm a bachelor, I'm at a bachelor party, they're at a bachelorette party, it's a natural. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because for some reason, this is unbeknownst to me, but a girl at a bachelorette party must attend every single event of another girl's bachelorette party. And I guess if they don't go to a single event, it means a termination of their lifelong friendship. Because I've seen on more than one instance that I was like, yo, why don't you come meet? And they're like, no, they have a so-and-so. I was like, all right, well, like, you can't miss that. Meanwhile, on the flip side, if a guy is in Vegas for somebody else, and he never even ends up seeing the person, my own friend is getting married, and I don't see him once while I'm in Vegas, but I'm there for his bachelor party, I get 100% credit for going. And the guy won't even bring up that he never saw me. So that's a stark contrast. Okay? Here's kicking it back, here's a story. I know I'd briefly mentioned Squid Games before, but there is this dynamic not only at pool parties and at nightclubs. Remember that first game in the Squid Games, the red light game? You know, like that. That one? How do you like that depiction? If you're going out and you're a regular guy, like you're just walking into a place, well, you have to position yourself somewhere between the entrance of that place and the most popular bar. Like, for example, if somebody was to walk in and get a drink, you make sure you position yourself between the entrance and the most popular bar. And basically the reason is because every single girl who enters one of these places, it's literally only a matter of time before they're getting sniped by one of the people who do have tables. They're off those boards immediately. It's literally like the Squid Games. Yo, you want to hang out? That's more or less what you guys have when it comes to going out, in terms of the time you have available to you. Wow. That was essentially 45 minutes. Let me think. That was 45 minutes of straight ranting. I will, before we bring Vegas to a conclusion, if you have any Vegas questions, I will tell you a quick Vegas story that I can parlay that last comment or that last thought into. I went to a pool party. This is before I'd taken some of my hard Vegas lessons, and like I said, it almost seemed like there was nobody to talk to. Everybody got sniped by the tables. Okay? So there was a pool party, and classic angry me, I'm like, I felt like I got screwed after. I honestly think MTV Spring Break was there, and I watched Pitbull perform. I swear to you. They just happened to be at the hotel I was staying at. And I remember the dejected walk back to the hotel room, like when you hadn't talked, just you're a guy who didn't do anything you had set out to do at the pool party. And I'm with two of my friends, and we're walking back to our room. We get off the elevator at the Palms. And as we're walking by, I hear a group of like 7 girls giggling in the room right next to us. So only probably because I had this dejected sense. And once in a while, let's be honest, I'm the kind of person who throws something ballsy out there. I was like, I got to try something. But man, is that a tough one. That is a tough one. Knocking on a random person's door, hoping that there's not, you gotta hope, there's not a bunch of boyfriends. You don't know what the situation is. All I heard was a bunch of gigglers. So I'm with my 2 friends, and what do? You know what they do. They walk directly to our door. So they're standing next to me. Not next to me. They're standing a full hotel door away, as it's just me in front of a door with a group of girls giggling behind it. So I'm a little bit like Michael Jordan when it comes to these situations in the dunk contest. Whoa, that sounded wrong. No, not Michael Jordan in terms of like, oh yeah, I'm the man. Michael Jordan in the dunk contest said when he goes up there, he doesn't know what he's going to do. And then he relies on his ability in the last possible second to come up with something. No. Nothing like Michael Jordan in terms of championships accumulated. But in terms of when it comes to thinking of something, I almost put one foot in the door and then say, all right, what am I going to do before my other foot lands? And I knock on this girl's door, and I'm like, regardless of how many situations, at this point, I'd auditioned on Warner Brothers to be, on a regular on a show, and still this was more terrifying than that. And this girl opens the door, And I see like a bunch of girls behind her. And I kid you not, if we're all dead and they ever are allowed to show us the moments that happened and you believe this isn't a real one, when you're dead and the big board is there, this magic big board where you're allowed to look at things to see if people were lying, go see if I was lying and have somebody pull it up on the big screen for you. I said, she's like, yes, and everyone went, all the laughing went silent. So now everybody in there can hear me. And I said, hey, would you guys mind being a little quieter? Like, we're trying to watch Jeopardy in there and we can't hear the answers. And she was like, seriously? And I said, no, I'm just fucking with you. And they all started laughing. A huge laugh takes place. And then what do you think happens as I traverse Mount Everest, 1 verse 6, knocking on a random door? In the midst of that laughter, who do you think drifts into frame? My other 2 friends. What's your name? What's your name? As I try to talk to you now that all the hard work is done. I've lifted mountains for people. I've said this to a few of my friends. I'm way happier going back to Michael Jordan. I am way more comfortable being a Scottie Pippen. You can ask me to be the main guy on a team. You can ask me to try to do the heavy lifting for a team. But if you allow me to play under someone else, if you have a Jordan and ask me to be the Pippen, you're not getting better than me on that front. Oh, if you allow me to be the number 2 pitcher on a staff, I'm good to go. I am good to go. Now, this is where I'm going to check if there are any questions that you guys have. If not, it's all good. I appreciate you guys coming in for another episode of the podcast. I mean, it is really rather amazing over the course of 12 hours how much nonsense enters my mind. Really, because I kid you not, I was, this was the weekend where I had a lot of fantasy stock. Oh my God, I'm sick. Don't show me that. But I had a lot of fantasy stock. I had a lot of money. Trust me, I wasn't sitting here. Between last night and right now was when I thought of all this stuff. And when I hear stories about comedians out there who work on their act for 2 years, I think, it's arrogant to say I would need 2 weeks. But I honestly think if there's one thing my disease and blessing is that my ability to just crank out hours and hours and hours of nonsense. It's rather absurd. I don't care, if somebody steals something of mine, I don't stress because I know there's plenty more where that came from. Just like there won't be next week, because I'm finally going to take a long-awaited episode off from the show, and I'm going to be traveling. I have some stuff to do down there in Florida, going with my family, and I think I will do the following week because that's going to mark 1 year of this. I know right before New Year was when I started this last year. We will see. It's just I don't know. I never feel as comfortable on the road. I'm like one of those home teams. This is Lambeau to me. I really feel comfortable in here. But then when you put me out there, I'm dealing with echoes. I'm dealing with some noise, and I don't know. So we'll see if I can muster up something. But I'm planning on taking next week off unless a lot of things bother me, and then we will bring those things to you. Thank you guys so much for coming back. If you can do me a favor and, tell a person or two about it, because as long as I'm in the limited reach section of Instagram where you have to adjust 8 settings to see, a reel about Michael Myers that I put up, it's not going to be easy for me to grow it. So if you would tell anybody, if you're too embarrassed because I say things and you don't want people to know you're affiliated with such a thinker, then I actually understand that. I know plenty of people who They'll be on their own house and they listen to things with headphones on because they're scared the neighbors might hear it and then think they're that kind of person. This is where we're living now, by the way. But if you could share in any capacity, that would be great. Even here, any sort of buttons you hit that triggers the system to suggest it to more people. But now I'm done talking. I've had enough of this. Everybody enjoy whatever the hell it is you're doing for the rest of the night. Jeopardy starts soon. And, if everyone stays quiet, I'll be able to hear the answers. All right, guys, take it easy. I will see you soon. Stay tuned, and I'll let you know if it's next week or the following week, whatever. So if I don't see you, merry all the stuff. Happy everything. Take it easy. Instagram, goodbye. TikTok, goodbye.